On today's video, I want to talk about the pros and the cons of being a professional pooper scooper, running a pooper scooper business, all things pooper scooper. But before we do that, do you want to know the cons first or the pros? Let me know down in the comments. And while we're waiting, I'm going to figure out how I want to get my scene set up for this video. All right, time's up. Let's get down to business. Did you guys make your decision or what? When I was younger, my dad used to say, I got some good news and I got some bad news. Which one do you want to hear first? I'm like, I don't know. And he'd be like, all right, well, the good news is there's no bad news and the bad news is there's no good news. What? But anyways, all right, we're going to talk about the pros and the cons of the pooper scooper business. I'm going to start with the pros because I like to lead with positivity. At least that's the vibe I'm trying to give off. So, pros. I do not have good handwriting, so don't come at me about my handwriting, okay? Incredibly low startup costs compared to a lot of other businesses out there. What's cool about this is because the barrier to entry is pretty low, and you can start this business from your house, from your apartment, from your garage. That's where I was working out of, my garage, until I moved into this office space this year. But that took me like 5.5 years to move out of my husband's garage. High income. As a solo scooper, if you're just getting started in business, your profit margins are a lot higher as a solo scooper because you're not going to have nearly as much overhead. And the majority, honestly, the majority of my overhead is my employees paying out payroll. And what's cool about the money that you make as a pooper scooper, we do reoccurring service. So it's reoccurring revenue every single month. So if you're doing $20,000 a month, 20,000 times 12 is how much? Number 3 is a flexible work schedule. When I started this business, the kids were young, so I was able to drop them off at school, go scoop dog poop for like 6.5 hours, pick them up from school, and hopefully I was done with my scoops by then. If not, I could drop them off at home, go finish up my route, and then come back home. I was able to customize my route exactly how I wanted it. And for the longest time, we were only operating Monday through Thursday, and then we had Fridays off. But I guess unfortunately, fortunately, however you want to take it, the business has grown, so now we're operating on Fridays. But there's a lot of opportunity there. I got to throw this in there because it's good for the YouTube algorithm. It's totally doable with work-life balance. For those of you that are trying to balance work and life, I'm not sure if that's possible because sometimes you got to go all in on something in that season, and then you got to be like, okay, I hit that goal, I achieved that. Now I got to go all in on this, figure this out, and then go all in on this. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Steady demand. There's a lot of dog buttholes that are pooping, so therefore you can be scooping. You know? And not only with the steady demand, it's also steady income. For the most part, we treat our customers well. They stay on with us for a longer period of time. We can kind of guesstimate how much revenue we're going to be able to produce. I'm not saying it's always like that. There are months or times of the year where we get an influx of customers, so we're making more money. Then we have lower times in the season, like now in the summer, it's lower. But if you're tracking that data, you know, like, okay, the summer months are going to be slower. It's going to pick up in the fall. It's going to die down a little bit, and then it's going to pick up in winter towards like the end of winter, springtime. It's going to be crazy in spring. Then it's going to kind of die down a little bit, and you get the ebbs and flows. And so if you track that data, even though it's kind of like, it's consistent. It's steadily consistent throughout the years for the most part. Health and environment benefits. I really think that this one's important because when we're going there and we're scooping the yards, we are essentially like, yeah, we're helping the homeowners out, but we're creating a healthier environment for our four-legged friends, right? The dogs, the cutie patooties, okay? They can't scoop it themselves. They don't have thumbs. Would the homeowner scoop it if we weren't there? I don't know. I'm not sure. We do run into a lot of situations where unfortunately the homeowner doesn't. I don't know why. I'm not there to judge, but I'm happy that we're able to help and provide a more safe environment for the dogs. And with that, we're helping to prevent the spread of a bacteria, because there are some nasty bacteria and viruses and diseases that are in dog poo-poos. Independence. Independent. Do you know what that means? That's the only reason why I know how to spell that word, is because of that sound. That's my sound. Anyways, independence. Being your own boss. I mean, you can look at it as a positive or you can look at it as a negative. I look at it as a positive and a negative multiple times throughout the day. It depends on which, when you catch me throughout the day. Is it positive? Is it negative? On Monday, it was a negative because one of the company cars and one of my employees, like my lead technician, got into a major accident. Car's totaled. She's banged up. If you would have asked me then, is being your own boss in the pros, I would have said, con. But for today, for you, it's going to be in the pros. You get to be your own boss. You get to make your own decisions. You get to call the shots. And you have the independence and the opportunity to grow as big as you want. Really, the options are endless. I mean, there's so many dogs, and this market has so much potential. So if you're an independent thinker, you're an independent person, you're ready to work hard and do what you got to do, you can really scale this business. Job satisfaction. Not only are the befores and afters pretty satisfying, because when you walk into a yard and it's like full of dog poop and you clean it up and then it's not full of dog poop and then you see all the bags laying there and you're like, wow, I cleaned up a lot of dog poop. That's satisfying, but it's also knowing that you provided a service for the homeowner, whatever the issue is. You took that burden off of them, and then also you created a good environment and a clean environment for those four-legged friends to run around and live their best life. So as a recap, my top 7 pros are low startup cost, high income, flexible schedule, steady demand, health and environment benefits, you can be independent, and job satisfaction. Now let's go over the cons of being a professional pooper scooper. Oh, and before we do that, if you have anything to add to this list, go ahead. This isn't an all-inclusive list. Like, we can definitely add from it. We can take from it. Down in the comments, if you're like, no, I think one of these is a con and one of these is a pro, let me know down in the comments. So this industry, I think working outside in general, is tough on our body. It is incredibly physically demanding. And you would think, like, oh, it's just picking up dog poop. Like, what could there be? But when you're walking 9, 10, 12 miles a day in the sun, in the heat, in the cold, in the hot, in the rain, in the windy, in all of the things, and you're holding that pooper scooper bucket, that can get pretty heavy, and then you're doing that repetitive motion with your wrist. A lot of scoopers do get tendinitis or carpal tunnel, and you can catch yourself like starting to lean a little bit one way when because you're holding your bucket and you're holding your body in a certain kind of way. And then also you're always having your head down too. So you want to make sure that you're doing some motions to kind of like stretch out your neck to elongate that, because you're continuously looking down. And it doesn't help that we're like continuously looking down at our phones as well. And then as scoopers, we're continuously looking down. So this industry is incredibly physically demanding because it's an outdoor job. It's labor intensive. And if anybody tries to tell you it's not, they lying. Stigma is a con. People are like, oh, you scoop dog poop for a living? Some people might not want to shake your hand. Some people might not respect you. Some people might not take you seriously. And some kids might make fun of your kids in high school, like that happened with my kids. But my stepson burned this one guy, or one kid, whatever. These kids look like grown men. Let's be real. He was talking crap about me. He was like, yeah, your stepmom picks up dog poop for a living. And my kid was like, yeah, well, my stepmom makes more money than your dad picking up dog poop for a living. Burn, baby, burn. I was like, you said that? He's like, yes, I did. Fist bump. It's fun, it's cool, it's whatever, but there's still stigma around it. So if you don't have a tough skin, this could really hurt your feelings because people are going to talk trash about you. People are going to talk trash about your customers. They're going to call your customers lazy. They're going to say, oh, you're taking advantage of people that are sick and can't pick up after their dog poop. Or they're going to say if the customer, the dog owner can't pick up the dog poop, then they shouldn't own a dog. Blah, 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 blah. All the things. You see all the things on Facebook. Facebook's the worst. But that's where we get most of our lead sources from. So Facebook is a pro and it is a con. The initial client or customer acquisition cost can be quite high during different times of the year and depending on what your market is. The main reason is because not a lot of people are really looking for this service yet. Because a lot of people are not even aware that this service is even available to them. This industry is still so new and still so unheard of that it's our main focus, our main goal is to just create awareness that this service is available. Because when people know, they're like, what? I can hire somebody to pick up my dog poop, and they might go through a range of emotions like, no, I don't need to hire somebody. I don't want to hire somebody. Should I hire somebody? I'm definitely going to hire somebody. Safety risks. You might be like, safety risks? You're picking up dog poop. What kind of safety risks? Great question. There's a variety of them. First of all, the physical safety. You can throw out your neck and your back. Car accidents. Because we're on the road so often, car accidents, flat tires, issues like that are more prone to happen because there's such high volume. But that's just getting to the job. Let's talk about when we get to the job. Dogs being let out, either the homeowner does it or the kids let them out, or the doggy doors. The neighbors' dogs that can hop a fence and get into the backyard and they're super duper aggressive. Even customers. I haven't had any actual encounters of anything that has happened per se, but I have had situations where I have been put in a situation where I was very uncomfortable. Because some people can make you feel very uncomfortable. So there are safety risks. We have your dogs, we have your vehicle safety. And then walking in these backyards with all these potholes, or are they called potholes? I don't know, little divots, and as you're walking and all of a sudden you jar your leg and you're like, oh my gosh, my ankle. And then also the sun. The sun is a safety hazard as well because a little bit of sun is good, but when you have a lot of sun exposure, what can a lot of sun exposure do? It damages your skin, it ages your skin, and the likelihood of the C word goes up. So make sure you're protecting yourself. Complaints are an issue. They're a Debbie Downer. They be dragging me down, ruining my day. I used to want to have a 100% satisfaction. I still do. I still do want to have 100% satisfaction. But I also have to be realistic and understand that we're human, right? And humans make mistakes and there's issues that come up. And we are doing so many houses. If each scooper is doing 25 houses, that's 125 houses per week. There's a lot of room for error there. So if we're running at like a 95% success rate, I think that's pretty darn good with the amount of volume that we're doing. Now, do I love when a complaint comes in? No. But if I get one complaint out of 125 houses, like realistically, it's not that bad. But the complaints still hurt. It still feels very personal. And then you have to have, if you have staff, you have to have a conversation with a staff member. And then you know that staff members, they have their own sets of complaints. So as the business owner, you're just dealing with complaints all over the place. You're like, oh my goodness, there's just so many complaints. Like, what's going on? Like, blah, blah, blah. So the complaints do suck. I used to take them very personal, especially in the beginning. Like when I got a 1-star review, I was like, oh my gosh, like, ruin my life, you know? Like, what am I even doing? I've built up more of like an emotional callus. So when complaints come in, I'm like, okay, we'll handle it. We'll fix it. We'll try to make the customer super happy and turn it around, problem solve immediately, execute. So we can turn a complaint that is a con into a pro. And then they're a raving customer, which can be done. I've done it. Irregular income. I know I talked about this over here, being a pro, but sometimes it's a con, because even though we do track the ebbs and the flows, things happen. People's dogs die. You know, there's not really an ebb and flow with that. They just kind of die when they die. Complaints as well. You got to kind of track that data. Like if you're hiring somebody new, you're probably going to get a lot more complaints. If you have a technician or a customer, if you have a technician that is problematic, you're probably going to get more complaints. Therefore, you might lose those customers. If you're not on your game, on top of your marketing and doing what you need to do as a business owner, you can lose customers and you're not getting new ones in. So your income can get irregular if you're not staying on top of it. So that's why I think that it can be a negative. Also, if people run into like financial problems, right, and they don't pay you like they should, you can't control that. You don't know what other people's financial situations are going to be like. We do pre-bill on the first of every month, which is, the first of every month at 9 p.m. We automatically charge their credit cards that are on file through Jabra, our CRM. And there's still about 20 to 30% of people that their cards get declined every single month. And then they have to run another card, or they want to wait till Friday, or, whatever the situation is. P-O-O-P. This could be a pro and a con. A pro is because poop is the whole reason why we have a business. But here's the con. It's smelly. It's dirty. It attracts flies. And then the flies have, trigger warning, maggots. Ugh. I hate maggots. I hate them. I hate them so much. I don't know if I hate it more than the smell, or if I hate it more than, I don't know what I hate it more. I hate maggots. So that's why it's a con. It's dirty. It's smelly. It attracts flies, which in turn, the maggots. So that's why I put it under the con. Yeah. So I hope you guys liked my list. Here's a recap of the pros and the cons. A con, it's physically demanding. The stigma that's behind it. The initial acquisition cost can be quite high because we're just trying to create awareness. There are some safety risks: dog bites, car accidents, my neck and my back, the sun, complaints. Complaints suck. I hate them, but they're a part of business. Irregular income. Things happen, right? Ebbs and flows. And then the poop, because of the you-know-what. Ugh, it's disgusting. So I hope you guys like this list. Let me know if there are some things that, you want to swap out, things that you should add. Hang out with me in the comments. If you guys are in the playlist of how to start a pooper scooper business, I am making videos and I'm creating a series and working through this little by little. And so your guys' interaction and your comments are going to help me with the videos moving forward. So thank you so much for tuning in.